to the PowerPoint. So the nervous system. So what controls daily activities and long-term results? Everybody's growing or dealing with everyday problems, rapid response, brief duration. That's the nervous system takes care of. The endocrine system is a long time, a lot slower response, and one grows and one has growth from the growth hormone and so on. So these are two very important systems. So we have the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system, all nerve tissue outside of the central nervous system. Afferent division is the sensory input. So input from receptors when we're hot, when we're cold, when somebody touches us, when we brush against something, when we're in pain, when we have strong pressure. So the afferent division is sensory input. We're constantly receiving input about our environment and what's happening around us. The afferent division is divided into the somatic and autonomic. The somatic nervous system controls muscle contraction, everything we do, walking. We've learned to talk, we've learned to walk. And the autonomic nervous system, digestion, endocrine function, respiratory function, kidney function. A lot of those processes are automatic. So here's a good summary we just talked about. So the outside world, touch, heat, pain, deep pressure, light pressure, what's happening in our digestive system, respiratory system, urinary system, that's all picked up by receptors. Afferent takes information from the exterior to the central nervous system, and motor commands respond to a stimulation, like we scrape up against the side of a building and we have a slight abrasion. We're aware of that. If it's deep, the clotting system of the body goes into immediate response. So the somatic nervous system is controlling muscles. The autonomic nervous system is taking care of response to danger, response to the parasympathetic. This is called rest and digest and fight or flight. So smooth muscles of the gut, of the lungs, of the blood vessels react automatically without our input, and things move along. The heart beats, sweat glands secrete, the pituitary secretes, and adipose tissue stores excess energy and also insulates us. Do we have somebody else popping in? Yes, we do. Okay. So in the nervous systems, there's neurons or nerve cells and neuroglial cells that support, nourish, and attack foreign invaders. So some nerves pick up information, others stimulate muscle. The autonomic nervous system automatically takes care of digestion, kidney function. We breathe. We can control how we breathe, but thank goodness most of the time it's automatic. Interneurons are between the sensory input neurons, the afferent system that brings information from the exterior and the environment, and that information is moved in and coordinated by interneurons, and we respond by the motor neurons that stimulate and inhibit tissues on the outside. And so we are aware of what's happening and we respond. Let's look at the picture of a neuron. You should know that these are dendrites where the information is received. Neurons are constantly receiving information from other nerves. It's depending on the number of inputs and the strength of those inputs, we'll get a nerve signal, in this case, that will stimulate muscle. The nucleus is in the cell body. A small structure in the nucleus is called the nucleolus. Mitochondria provide energy, processing of our food to release energy. So this is a multipolar neuron. You should know the basic structures that are shown in this diagram. So nerves receive input from other nerves. If the stimulus is strong enough, and numerous inputs can be added together to lead to an electrical signal that can lead to voluntary muscle contraction. So there's three types of neurons based upon structure: unipolar, multipolar, bipolar. These can occur in the eye. Multipolar are the most predominant, the most abundant. Unipolar, we'll look at a picture coming up here. So we have the multipolar neuron, which is the most abundant. We have a unipolar neuron that picks up information and sends it back to the central nervous system. The multipolar neuron takes care of muscle stimulation and any output we need to survive. The bipolar neuron is found in the eyes, for instance, and helps process visual symptoms or visual clues that happen every day. So neuroglial cells support the nervous system. Astrocytes, part of the blood-brain barrier. Oligodendrocytes, responsible for white matter. Myelination is the insulation of nerves to help messages move along those nerves. Microglial cells are defense cells. They can attack and remove bacteria or clean up dead tissue. Ependymal cells line the cavities, the vesicles of the brain, and produce cerebral spinal fluid. So if you look at a diagram representing the various cells, here we have astrocytes. We have these oligodendrocytes forming fatty insulation around the neurons. We have a central canal lined by ependymal cells. Blood vessels obviously have to flow through to the brain and from the brain. Blood enters and leaves, and we get a capillary that has the feet of astrocytes that help control what enters the brain and brings oxygen, nutrition, gets rid of waste. But the brain controls what goes in and what comes out. So the peripheral nervous system has satellite cells and those are called Schwann cells. They form the fatty insulation around axons. Axons take information away from the cell body, and they send an electrical message to glands, to muscle contraction, stimulates movements, digestive movements within the central nervous system, helps regulate breathing, and so on. So Schwann cells are fatty cells that allow a fatty insulation around the axons. Axons are the carriers of messages away from the cell body of the neuron. It's very important in increasing the speed of conduction in the activity of nerves. Okay, so make sure you read this. The summary here. Let's stop and have one video recorded. Stop recording. Stop.